Welcome back to the videos, everyone. I just picked this thing up from the mechanic shop. I had to take it there earlier this week because the brakes were super spongy and I could not figure out why. Turns out it was just the rear drums were not adjusted properly. I thought they were, or at least I never tried to diagnose that because I regularly adjust the drums, but apparently they were out of adjustment. But they at least went through and made sure there was no air in the lines or anything like that. So we got it back. It's Friday night now. It's Sunday morning. We've got an autocross event down in Winona, which should be pretty cool because I've never raced there. So I'm very curious to see how that is. But so tomorrow I have a lot to prep for the event. And one of the things I want to check is the gear fluid on the transmission because it grinds real bad going into third gear. Not super bad, but it's got some grinding, and that started to happen when I was at the track day at Dakota County Tech. So I want to open up the transmission, open up the drain plug, and see how that is. Hopefully there's no material or any gear in there, but we'll at least do a fluid change and check the level and see how that is. Yeah, so I got my work cut out for me, but I'm excited. It should be a fun event. Yeah, I think for tonight though, I'm just gonna do an oil change on the Mustang, and then probably call it a night because I have some video editing I gotta do, and then I'll probably get to working on this thing first thing in the morning tomorrow, and I'll just be taking the day to try and get this thing squared away and ready for the event. Well, nothing so far. It's not a metallic waterfall. Does stink though. Alright, well, we got plenty of fluid out, and it doesn't, I did not see any metal, nothing in there. It doesn't look bad, and it looks like I got plenty out. So I'm just gonna roll with it. I'm just gonna go get some new fluid to throw in there. I gotta run to the auto parts store because I only have about half a quart of synchro mesh, and that's what this thing takes is synchro mesh. So I gotta go get more, but yeah, it looks fine. I got plenty of fluid out. I probably should have been checking the level more regularly, but I wasn't. So anyways, so I think we'll be okay. I'm not sure why third gear is grinding, but that's could be just the gears going out. I don't know, but we'll figure something out. Alright, so I just got back from the auto parts store. I picked up 2 more quarts. I think the transmission takes like 1.9 quarts, but I'm not sure. And it's just synchro mesh. That's what these manual transmissions take. And I have this little funnel and hose dealy whopper that I rigged up a long time ago. It's literally just heated up a hose and shoved it over the funnel. And you can get like fluid pumps to put that stuff in there, but this is what we're gonna be rocking with. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this filled up, and then it's gonna be time to start figuring out these brake lines, because that's the next big priority. So for the brake lines here, I had some tape around the brake lines so that way they wouldn't rub through any further. And it doesn't look like there's any additional rubbing on the lines. However, I don't want there to be any further issues, especially on track, for very good reason. So what I'm gonna do is first I'm going to just take the tape off because I'm not going to rely on this anymore. I have a more permanent solution at my disposal. So my solution long term is really to just take one of these P-clamps with a rubber collar on it. And I moved around the brake line, and really all I'm going to do is slip it over the brake line. And I'm really just gonna move the brake line up here, and I'm gonna take a self-tapper, and I'm gonna use this P-clamp to hold the brake line higher up and closer to the frame. I'm gonna try a different screw now because I think I lost all the self-tapping ability, but I think we're close though. All right, so now it's in position, and it looks a little bit bound up right now, but once the suspension lifts and it's at ride height, it's gonna be in a little bit better of a position, and this still has like movement. So hopefully that will be a long-term solution to not rubbing on the shock fork. But essentially that's gonna be our best option, because I just need something to pull it up and out of the way of the shock fork. So what I'm going to do once I get the other side done is I'm going to put the wheels on, and I'm going to set the front down on blocks, and I'm going to move the steering side to side and make sure that there's no binding of the lines or nothing, because that is a possibility, because this brake line goes around the back and the shock fork doesn't move, and it's bolted to the shock fork, but this knuckle moves. So I just need to make sure there's enough play after it's, you know, now set up the way it is. I got to make sure everything's going to behave properly and, you know, work okay with each other. So we'll see. So I just got these like 2x8s or 2x10s, whatever they are, and I keep them in the backyard whenever I need them for something like this. they come in real handy. They're nice because they're super wide, and so when you set the tires down on them, they're still super stable. Okay, so this is with the wheels like straight, and you can see there's no binding, and this thing is not even close to the shock fork. Before, like right here is where it was rubbing, so it's well up and out of the way now. However, it is like kind of touching the frame rail, and I have a good feeling that with suspension travel, this part right here is gonna be rubbing on the frame rail. But let's go check out the other side. Yep, and same thing, it's touching the frame rail. There's no binding, but that's not good. So that's definitely with suspension travel gonna be rubbing. So I might just take some like heater hose and like slice it down the middle and just put it up on the frame rail and try and drill through there and zip tie it to try and keep the brake hose off of it, but we'll see. Under full left lock, there's still play in the passenger side brake hose, and on the driver's side there's still tons of play, tons of movement and all that. So let's try full right lock and see what happens. All right, so full right lock on the driver's side. I get my hand up in there, so there's no binding on this side. The main part I'm worried about is that loop right there that goes from the bracket on the knuckle to the bracket on the shock fork. Just take the heater hose. This is actually like washer fluid hose, but it works all the same. Whoops. Careful not to cut my finger open. It's not really wanting to cut. There it goes. Oh. And there we go. So I'll just throw a couple zip ties around it and then throw tape at one end, so it doesn't slide. That's all you gotta do. And that is the final product of the hose around the brake line. I just used a couple of zip ties. It's not going nowhere. That should be more than enough. And actually that one zip tie on the left there is helping to space it out against the frame rail as well. So if we run into this problem again, we'll come up with something else, but I could probably even just take zip ties and line the brake hose so that way it would just rub on the zip tie. But I like this plan. Well, got all my registration done. I finally made it here. Made the 2.5 hour trek. And we're doing the course walk right now. And my first takeaway and thing I noticed about this is way bigger than I thought it was gonna be. For some reason, I pictured this being in a parking lot, but it's not. It's actually on a very similar like training course type deal. That's similar to Dakota County Tech that I'm used to. So we got like a big slalom right here, and it's really wide open and it's gonna be really fast. There's a lot of narrow gates, but I'm very interested to see how the car handles the course because the surface and texture is very close to Dakota County Tech. It kind of has this like asphalt gravel texture to it. It's very rough, and we'll see how hard it is on my tires. But the one difference that this course has to Dakota County Tech is there's no elevation change. Dakota County Tech has a little bit of elevation change, but this is completely flat. So I think it's gonna be very similar in driving style. It's just gonna lack that. And also the other thing that Dakota County Tech has that makes it tricky is it has multiple different surfaces, whereas it looks like this is all one surface. It's just going to be the same through and through. So I might try adjusting my tire pressure similar to how I normally do it at Dakota County Tech, just because the surface is going to be the same, but we'll see. And it's supposed to be very warm today too. I think it's supposed to be in the 90s. So I don't think we're gonna have any problem getting the tires up to temp, but especially with the size of the course, it's a very long course, but I'm interested to see how things are gonna go. So you can see, like, we got a slalom here, and you can see it's a similar setup to Dakota County Tech. There's just big grassy fields with these like more narrow driving places, or I should say like more narrow streets. This is even much more narrow than Dakota County Tech, but even though it's wide open and fast, some of these sections are very tight where they have the cones set up. It's going to be very interesting. And then looks like we head over here. The starting point is over here, and you work your way all the way around. You're coming through the slalom, and then you head through these gates, and we gotta go down here, and it looks like we go all the way around down there and wind up right over there. So this should be interesting. So I've touched in the past on slaloms like this, where in a slalom where you get to decide which way you're going through it, you want to think about how you're exiting. However, you're literally just going to exit through the final gate. There's not really anything to it. So in light of that, in this slalom, I'm going to be thinking about how am I going to enter. And I have to enter this slalom, I got to go around that cone on this side. So I'm thinking after I come around it, there's a chance that I might want to come wide and then come around the right side of this cone and then go this way on the left side of that cone, and that way I'm going to be able to apex that corner and come wide, because I don't think I'm going to want to come on this side of the cone and then hug it tight all the way around, because that's going to load up the car more than I want. So I'm thinking going wide around there and then brushing through the slalom will give me the best time through here. But also, entry speed doesn't matter as much if you can't like carry crazy speed through the slalom, because eventually at some point I might have to back off my speed, but nevertheless, that's my theory on this slalom, but we'll see how it pans out in practice.
so I'm pretty sure this is run number 4. I can't really remember. It's either run number 3 or 4 of the morning session, but my tire pressures were at like 38 all the way around roughly. So I dropped the front to 31 and I dropped the rears to 30 because I'm sliding all over the place, so I wanted to drop them lower. Car is doing okay, but it's way too soft. I need to get stiffer shocks and sway bars. But anyways, I'm having fun. On my last run, I bogged the launch super hard, so I just need to get my RPMs up higher. But otherwise, I think the tire pressure adjustment is exactly what we'll need, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here we go.
brakes.
been watching. You were one of the few that is on the accelerator until the first slalom.
Really?
The whole time.